Once again, it is that time, that good time, to get real with Ronald E. Smith. And my guest today is a very special person. She's born in a place where they hold the deadliest, scariest animals. You know it's true. Melbourne, Australia. I'm talking with voiceover actor herself, Miss Candice V. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, Ron. Thank you. Deadliest.
Look, that's what we all, every time on television, that's all we ever see about Australia. They got some of the scariest, meanest animals. I saw one animal, y'all got, the red spider. I'm all like, no, okay, y'all keep this. I'm cool.
Okay, hold up. We got to change the stigma.
You get rid of all of them. That's what we got to do.
I live in the suburbs. I'm 40 minutes from the city. There ain't no dangerous lizards around here that I know of.
Oh, see, we hide stuff from us already, but we just started too. My goodness, Candice. But ladies and gentlemen, this is, as you know, on the show, Getting Real. We love to talk to so many great and talented people, and just to sit back, relax, have a good drink with us, and just get to know who they are inside and out. So let's just get it started right now with Candice. In your life right now, how have you been holding up with everything that's been going on in 2020? Because 2020 definitely is a year we'll never, ever forget.
Oh, gosh, it's been crazy, hasn't it?
I mean, in America, it's been nonstop, you know, so I can imagine how you guys are handling over there.
I mean, I hear so many things that are happening in America, and all of these cases that are showing up so much. The question's about me, but I was about to ask you, how are you holding up?
I have been boarded up in my home, and just saying, you know what? Just bring 2021, okay? 2020, you win. I just don't want to deal with you anymore.
Well, I guess for me, I've actually been my lifestyle hasn't really changed that much, really. I'm very fortunate that both my parents still have a working income. Both of them are considered essential workers. My mom's a nurse. My dad works in a factory that they work with food, so we need food.
Don't we all?
Yeah, and honestly, I've just taken this opportunity to to work on more projects and personal projects, passion projects, things that I've always wanted to work on. And I discovered that I work pretty efficiently from home. So that gives me hope, I suppose, if I want to continue freelancing from home. This is great practice. I've been taking my studies online, and that's been pretty good too. I feel like I've been more diligent than I ever have been in previous years with my studies. So that's been great. But yeah, I would say the only challenge has probably been homeschooling my 7-year-old brother.
Same. I'm the same with you with my sister. Her schooling online has not been easy at all.
Oh gosh, how old is she?
I mean, for her, you know, she's 20, but this is the first time she's ever done, you know, like online college, and it's a rush.
Oh yeah. No, that makes sense. But I feel like, yeah, the transition wasn't that drastic for me. I suppose. I love staying home. I have everything that I need at home.
There's nothing wrong with staying home. Some people can love it, but I know other people who are just like, I need to see people. I need to hang with somebody because I can't stand being home.
No, I totally get that, and I do miss my friends. I miss the homies, but for the most part, I mean, I've been calling out my friends on Zoom or Discord, and things have been great. Like I'm all right. I'm also surrounded by my brothers, so I guess the social aspect is okay for me as well. I know some people aren't as not as fortunate as I am, and I'm really grateful. I'm really thankful for our for how we're holding up.
And that's very important to have, you know, during these times. But I want to just walk back to, as you said, since you have so much time on your hand, you've been able to be creative and also push for yourself for your career as a voiceover actress. So I just want to just go back to the origin of what inspired you to go down this path.
Ooh, the origin.
like every good Marvel movie. Let's go.
Okay, well, I've got a long story, and I've got a basic short summary story. So
Bring it
which
on.
direction
Look,
should I? Would you like me to?
We'll go anywhere you want to go. So bring it on.
Ooh, okay. Well, let's go the scenic route. um, well, I don't know what high school was like for you, but
Mhm.
for me, high school wasn't the greatest. I um, I didn't have a lot of friends. Well, real friends, I should say. I don't think I had any real friends until I was about. I don't know how your grading system is. Sophomore, right? So that's year 10.
Yes.
Yeah. So for most of my high school life, I was mostly on my own. I felt like, people thought I was weird, or I just didn't feel like I fit in with anybody. So how that relates to voiceover is that during this time, it's actually nice because before you started recording this, you brought up My Little Pony
Yes,
and
we
all
did.
that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So during that time, that's when I actually discovered that show. I was about 12, 13, and I found out about the show and how it had a huge fan
It
base.
was humongous.
Oh yeah, huge. It's dying out now, but there's still really faithful people to the show and to the community. But anyway, what happened was I started watching the show because I wanted to see more content with unicorns in it. I
Well,
had
now.
a I had a strange thing for unicorns. I really liked them, and I just decided for myself one day, I want to watch more shows with unicorns in them. Hang on a second, there's that My Little Pony show. Um, yeah, and do you remember on YouTube there was those teens react people?
Yes.
The teens react to this. I remember watching a video called Teens React to Bronies. My first exposure to bronies was that Teens React video, kind of. But do you remember the website Omegle?
Oh no, I do not.
Oh, okay. So, Omegle was a website where you could talk to strangers, and my friends and I would be very, very sneaky and naughty, and we would pretend to, we would just troll random strangers on
Oh
that
my
Omegle site
gosh,
when we were kids.
Candice.
uh, and I remember coming across somebody who, in retrospect now, but back then I didn't know, who was a brony, and they were talking about who's your favorite pony and all that, or something like that. But anyway, fast forward a little bit, um, it all hit me when I watched that Teens React video, um, and I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll give this a shot. So what I did was I started liking the show. I actually watched the end. I watched the finale before I watched the beginning because I wanted to see if it ends good, to see if it was worth watching from the start.
Of the first season.
Yeah,
Oh my.
of the second season, actually.
Oh snap! What?
Yeah. um, but yeah, so I got really invested in the show, and then I started looking at fan content, actually, and then I realized there was this entire culture of fan creators who were making fan video games, skits, comic dubs, fan dubs, even. And then I came across a whole bunch of auditions for something that was happening at the time called for a fan video game that everybody was hyping up for. And I remember in those auditions was people who are established professional VAs, right now were auditioning for that stuff back when they were doing fan content. So people like Kira Buckland, there was Brittany Lauda. I also remember Now Whacking.
Oh, okay.
They were somebody who auditioned back for the fan content, that they had their origins in the My Little Pony community as well, and
Yeah, I
that
gotta
gives me
start
a lot of
somewhere.
hope. Yeah. I remember watching their auditions. I also remember somebody I looked up to, Meredith Sims. I haven't heard much about her recently, but Kira Buckland was the main one. I remember looking through all of her videos, all of her voice acting videos, and I just thought to myself, hey, like I can probably do that too. I think that I can pull something like that off. So I started doing with my iPod Touch, with the voice memo function.
Look at
I
that.
would
Yep.
record. Oh yeah. I would record really crappy impressions of characters from My Little Pony, and then I would upload them to YouTube. And I started to get a tiny bit of traction. People were encouraging me. They were like, "Oh yeah, this is really good," but it would only be like one or two people. But at the time when you're starting out, one or two people is really all it takes for you
Exactly.
to, yeah, for you to keep going. And then uh, eventually I started to get better with more practice. I graduated from my iPod Touch voice memos to, I was recommended to use a Rock Band mic, from Guitar Hero or Band
Oh
Hero.
my gosh. Yeah,
Oh,
what a level up. Look at this.
oh yeah. I started using a Band Hero mic for all my recordings. I started to get more fan work, specifically for the My Little Pony fandom. um, I would people would ask me to be in their comic dubs, people would ask me to be in their audio dramas. um, but yeah, that's basically how I got started into voice acting, until I realized around 12, 13. I thought to myself, you know what, like I really enjoy what I'm doing, and I really really want to pursue it. Like, it brings me so much joy. I love that feeling of just like bringing a character to life, and it bringing joy for other people. Like, if I want to go real talk, like for real talk,
Go ahead now.
circling back to um how lonely I was in high school, what that show brought to me was a group of characters, because that show is about friendship, and I longed for proper friendship. And I just dove straight into that show, and that's how much it means to me. And it what it meant to me was there were these voice actors behind these very beloved characters who made me smile, who gave me so much hope, who filled me with ideas of what friendship is. And it just really made me happy. So with this whole voice acting thing, I always from the beginning, I wanted it to be that I wanted to be on a show one day similar to what My Little Pony did for me. And I want to be the voice behind a character that 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 reaches that one kid who is alone, and it gives them a smile. You know what I mean?
No, like that's a heartfelt thing, because we've all been there, I mean? Like we've all
Mhm.
experienced things like that in any part of our lives. And and it means so much how a show can touch somebody like that, and it can also
Yeah.
spark an idea and a dream that
Mhm.
that starts that gets the ball rolling to something that down the road you're like, you know what, I can do this. And you did it at such a young age too, and the traction you got from it, that's amazing, because not a lot of people actually go on that direction. So you gotta pat yourself on the back for doing that.
Thank you. I gotta say, once I first started, it would be really quiet, really inconspicuous. I didn't want my family to know.
Yeah, well, to ask
So,
that, like, where'd you find the time and place to record all this?
right? So I would try and come up with excuses to be to be at home when people were out, and I would use that time to record on my own. But I think I was about 2 months in to posting videos on YouTube until I I realized, you know what, I really need to come out to my parents about this. I need to tell them that I've been posting, that I've been doing these impressions. They were just impressions to me at the start. Um, but yeah, once I started being more honest to them about what I was pursuing and what made me really, really happy, they started to support me a lot,
Oh.
which was wonderful. Um,
Not a lot of
yeah.
parents do that.
No, and I'm really fortunate. I've been saying that a lot. I'm really fortunate to have very loving, accommodating parents who want to support me with my dreams and my goals. But yeah.
And because some parents, will either try to bash it or they'll just look down upon you and think that, what made you think of this crazy idea. But
Mm.
that speaks more about how your parents are, and they
Mm-hmm.
just want you to be happy, and they say, you know what, this is what brings you joy, go on and do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They also want to ground me in realism, of course,
So,
because this is a
like a parent
creative.
should every time.
Oh yeah. My I have an Asian heritage, and for my parents, I'm also a first generation here in Australia. My parents
Oh.
worked so hard to be where they are, to move an entire country. They're from the Philippines, both of them, and my mom's a nurse. And I don't know if you were aware, but in Filipino culture, being a nurse is what all Filipino moms want you to be.
Oh, I did not know that at all.
They want you to take classic career roads. So do nursing, be a doctor,
Okay,
be a
I get that.
teacher, so that kind of thing. Yeah, but I'm really fortunate that my parents aren't like that. They weren't strict like that. What they wanted was for us to be happy, to make sure that we're living prosperously, and that we have the means to pursue the things that we want to do. I lots of honor to them. I really owe it to them.
I'm speaking with Candice V, and that's such a very, very encouraging thing too. Always great to feel that belief in your parents, especially parents who come from different generations, and they're
Mm.
not they're being fair with you, but also allowing you to do your thing. But
Mm-hmm.
also too with your path and your journey as you grew older. I want to know, how did you continue to grow from all this? Because then when you're at 12, 13, you saw all this growth,
Mm-hmm.
saw all this work ethic. What was the years later after? How did you progress in your career?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I guess I can continue the story. Is that I don't actually think that my parents saw it as something that was like a hobby, that's something that brought me joy, but I don't think they realized that it was something that I was serious about until I was actually producing results that came back with returns. um, it's like my parents weren't convinced until they saw that I was actually thriving in it. And if anything, these opportunities have led to what it has led to. Last year, going to America, getting invited to panels, hosting my own panels as well, which has been an honor and a privilege. Um,
But how was that? Like, and was that scary? Just going to America like that?
Oh, and then just showing up to some convention and being in front of a whole bunch of people.
That's an experience. I mean, I'd be shell shocked.
Oh gosh, in 2019 when when they mentioned that last year was going to be that last convention of its kind, like ever, I knew that it had to be a goal of mine to save up for America and try and go. And I had more means to do that because my director had her own panel for our audio drama. and that she wanted to give me a free badge for it. So I'm like, oh, okay, I've got the means, I've got the opportunity. All I have to do is work for it. And I did. That was my only goal for 2019. And I ticked it off the list and I was satisfied.
Did you feel that, because if you really think about it, it was kind of like a coming of a full circle for you for
Mm-hmm.
last year when you went to BronyCon,
Mm-hmm.
because that was like what got the ball rolling for you. This show sparked the idea for you to be, this is what I want to do in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to go there in the final convention, did you feel that it was like closing that one chapter in your life and you're like, wow, I'm here. And you did all this, that, and the third right here.
Mm-hmm.
And did you feel that, wow, like
Wow. Oh
crazy?
my gosh. You are very perceptive, and I really like that question.
What I do.
um, because yeah, absolutely. No, that was so true. I like when I think about it, being that 12, 13-year-old who watched all of these voice actor videos, the voice actors of that show being on voice acting panels, and then that inspiring me to become a voice actor, along with all the fan voice actors as well. And then finally last year, actually being on a voice acting type panel and talking about voiceover to people. Yes, it definitely was that full circle feeling that, wow, I'm living what I have always wanted to do when this all first started. And honestly, I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. And it was great. I'm very I keep fortunate is my word today.
The word of the day is fortunate. But that's
Yeah.
but that's, see, that feeling you're feeling, that's good, because it's validation.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's wonderful, and you should be proud of yourself for that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go over here for a second. We were going left, but I want to go a little right for a second, if you allow me.
Sure.
See, right now, talk about all this growth and all this, reflection of who you were and how you are
Mhm.
now in your growing career. But also too, there's always those roadblocks, those cracks on the road that we stumble upon. And I would love to
Mm.
know, of the as you were continued to move forward with this, did you ever have any self-doubt in yourself, made you, or did any failures that popped in your mind throughout it made you once question your ability to continue to do this?
Oh, always. I feel like, what kind of actor are you without having that self-doubt that
True.
comes now again? Because it's such a tight industry. It's such a tough
Oh,
industry to break
shark,
into.
shark, shark infested waters.
Absolutely. And the competition is tight. So it's honestly, I do sometimes question myself, like, am I good enough to break into the industry? Will I ever be able to make it? I can tell you, so if I started around 12, 13, that means that I've been at this for roughly 10ish years. But I will say that for 2 of those years, I was hardly voice acting at all, because I was going through something. It was a bit depressing, but during that time, I didn't really pick up the mic. I didn't really record anything, and to me, it realistically, it's more like eight-ish years of voice acting experience if I discount those 2 years, even though it was still very dear to my heart. Um, yeah, just outside circumstances, I didn't pursue it as much as I wanted to. Um, but yeah, there was that time in my life, so there was outside influences. Um, and also, when I started, I think when I was about 18, that's when I decided, okay, I'm really gonna go like at this professionally. So I would say from 13 to 18, it was more, oh, I'm exploring my range. I'm exploring um, like fan stuff on YouTube and all that. And I still do fan stuff now. But I believe around 18 is when I really took it up a notch. And around about that time, I started auditioning for more things outside of the shows that I liked. So I started auditioning for games, and the constant rejection from them did take a toll. I would see who would eventually get cast in the end, and I would see that, oh, you ended up casting this very popular person who has a name, who has a very great reputation, and it kind of made me think things like, ah, oh, like, man, um, I feel like that really stunted my confidence to audition for more things, because I remember my mindset was that, oh, they're not going to pick me anyway. I'm like, I'm nobody. I don't have that experience.
You're already, just self-defeating yourself.
Honestly, I feel like most of my obstacles for my current voiceover journey now has always been self-sabotage, just always myself
That's
being
all of us.
unsure of, oh yeah, being unsure of myself, not being confident in myself. But thankfully, I've been surrounded by wonderful people, wonderful friends who are always constantly reminding me and encouraging me to go after my dreams, that it's worth it. And my family too, they're supporting me as well. It's just having that network of people who are behind, who have my back, who have my sides, and they're always lifting me up. And yeah, I know for sure that because this is something that I really, really want, I know that if I put in the work for it, that it's definitely going to come back in return.
Did you ever feel that you needed a backup plan? Something to
Oh,
fall back on if, God forbid, it doesn't come true.
I mean, I'm actually studying my my backup plan right now. You know
Okay,
how
then.
before, oh yeah, you know how before I mentioned my parents always grounding me in realism.
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember in my senior year, so year 12 for us here in Australia, um, for I guess 3/4 of the entire year, I was hell bent on doing animation. When I went to university to study animation, I guess in college in America, I
That's after
wanted to
12th
do
grade. Yep.
that. Yeah, because my logic was, well, if I don't get into like voice acting opportunities, I'm just gonna make them myself by learning how to animate.
You're not gonna put
But
me in. I'll do it myself.
that was my mindset until suddenly in the last quarter of my senior year, I realized, hang on a second, maybe this isn't a good idea after all. And if I may be frank with you, actually, and completely honest with you, what happened was I actually really prayed about it.
Mm.
Um, During that time, I was like, what do I do about like my studies? Where do I go? What's the right decision? And then my parents had been helping me out, and they recommended, why don't you take up teaching, to study as that backup plan? Because what you can do is you study your backup plan, you have the qualifications, and if you're really passionate about what you love, you'll continue to do that side by side, and you'll continue to thrive in that area. You'll continue to make time for it in addition to having these studies. And that's what I did. That's what I am doing. I'm currently um, but yeah, I'm currently studying a bachelor's of education degree and a bachelor's of arts. So I'm studying film and I'm studying teaching, high school teaching at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So that, yeah, so technically I'm a high school teacher of sorts.
Wow.
I've
Look
had
at
a
that.
few yeah, I've had a few placements, so I've had a dip into that world. It's very hard. It's very
I can
hard being a
imagine.
teacher. Oh gosh, like they're the underrated heroes. Honestly, teaching is a very noble job.
Oh, 100%.
And
100%.
mhm, And it really opened my eyes to what they go through, having to handle um, uh, so many different personalities in one classroom and trying to teach at the same time. It's wow, they're super humans, honestly. um, but yeah, so I'm doing teaching. That's my backup plan. But if anything, voiceover is the dream. It is the goal, and the only reason why I'm doing teaching is yes, there's benefits to it, and there's satisfaction in helping people, helping the next generation, and I love that. I absolutely love that. But voice acting will always be what
That's the
I've
heart.
always wanted to do.
I'm speaking with Candice V. If you guys are enjoying this and you just wanted to follow her and see what she's been up to, you can find her on Instagram and Twitter at Candice Faith V. That's Instagram, Twitter at Candice Faith V.
Mm.
And now, and you brought it up before, how you prayed and at a time when you were just trying to figure yourself out. The one thing about when I was just learning more about you, I noticed in your Instagram stories, you put a lot of just inspirational, motivational prayers. And so I would love to know more about your relationship with your faith.
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to. My faith was wow. Now that I say it out loud, it occurred around the same time that I started voice acting. Huh.
What a coincidence! Look at this.
Yeah. Well, I've always grown up in a Christian environment. My dad's a pastor now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm a pastor's kid. But it wasn't always that way. My dad wasn't always a pastor. He was that's only a recent thing. By recent, I mean probably like 10 years ago. I actually don't remember.
It's been that long.
But yeah, I've happily used that term, the pastor's kid, to give people the basic lowdown of where I'm at. But I didn't come to my faith like to properly into a relationship with God until I was 13, because I was going through that loneliness in high school, experiencing that rejection, that idea of feeling different, feeling weird from everyone else, because I had grown up in a Christian environment. I felt like it was very easy for me to know about Jesus, to know about God, and all that stuff. But my parents, they were always adamant about it's always my decision. It's my decision to make. It wasn't something that they forced on me. It was something that they would always expose me to, but they always made sure that it was ultimately my decision to go for it. And I made that decision when I was when I was 13. I remember being in my room. I remember just being at my wit's end, really. I was in a really unhappy place. But then that's when I found God. That's when I realized that He was always there for me. And I started reading these books like that would help me with my devotion. um, and I would keep reading them, and it really helped my relationship with God that I never experienced before, like going to Sunday school, just going to church every Sunday. It's really something different knowing about that stuff, and then it's something else entirely when you're actually experiencing that relationship. You know what I mean, right?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I really commend your parents, because that's the way anyone should find Christ. Never shove it down someone's throat, because that's just gonna make anyone just steer away from it. Our journey is our own.
Right?
No, exactly. Our journey is our own, and we all find a way to see God in our own direction, and sometimes, we go in those dark places, where we wonder about so much, we question a lot, and then the only thing we do it after is eventually when you feel you can't move no more, you just put your hands up and
Mm.
just said, "Take me." Be that
Mhm.
will. I'm your tool, and
Mhm.
it means a lot how you, and especially you at such a young age, because usually a lot of people it takes them, in their 20s, in their 30s, but in such a young age for you to open yourself and say, this is what I want, not because my parents are a pastor, not because they're shoving it in my throat. I want to do this for myself, and
Mhm.
that's really beautiful to hear about.
Honestly, it really was one of the most, it is one of the most beautiful things that are that happened to me, that is happening to me. And thank you for letting me open up about that stuff. I love talking about it. But yeah, and with that, I've been growing, I guess, been continuing trying to live my my life.
One day
um
at a time.
Oh yeah. Um I it was about a couple of years ago now that I but yeah, and I've been serving in my church for a while. I was the Sunday school helper until eventually now I'm actually in charge of the children's ministry at my church. Um
Wow.
oh, it's a lot of responsibility.
with
Oh
those young
gosh, that was
with those rugrats, come on, they're gentle. They're gentle.
I mean, I love the kids. I love them so much, but sometimes you just get down on your knees and you're like, God, give me the grace to go on. It was definitely a different side to ministry. Like, um, I felt like there was a difference between helping and then actually leading a ministry. That there's so much. It felt like a lot of pressure, you know, as there's more eyes on you. There's more I don't really know how to describe it, but I just know that I've had a really tough time handling this ministry because, for one thing, I don't have qualifications. Um, we're a very small church as well, so we're mostly built on volunteers. Um, but yeah, I'm also on our music team, on our worship team. Um, I do backup.
Oh, you got the pipes
Sometimes,
too. Oh my goodness.
oh no,
Oh
I mean,
my goodness, Candice.
no. Sometimes I worship lead, but that's not something that I'm flexing. But no, it's when you serve, there's more eyes on you. It's more, you got to live your life with integrity more because you're in that position. um, but yeah, I feel like a lot of my family are in the leadership. I mean, there's my dad, one of the pastors at our church. Then there's my mom, who's the pastor's wife. My older brother is currently leading the youth ministry, and then I'm doing the kids ministry.
It's a whole family team. Look at this.
Oh gosh, yeah. um so I do get to rely on my parents and get advice from them about what it takes to lead, I suppose. But back on the worship team thing, um no, I mean, like, I want to say thank you, but also, like, I'm surrounded by incredibly talented musicians who sing so angelically and they're so good at what they do, and I'm just here, like, I'm just your support, like, I'm here if you need me. But yeah, my church fam are my actual family. They're family to me, and I'm grateful to them.
Now, I want to ask you this for yourself, because you're a balance of your faith and your career. Now,
Mm,
and sometimes when you do stuff in your career, there's some things that they would say you need you to do this, that, and the third. And some of us will be like, oh, I don't like this, do this and that because
mm,
it goes against what I believe in. So how do you
mm.
balance that for yourself? How do you combine the two and to make sure that they're both even together?
Ooh, I really like your questions.
That's what I do.
Because it has been something that I've been struggling with for a while. Um, because I would always, like, stand before God. I would ask, I would pray, I would be like, is this what you want me to do? Is voiceover really what you want me to do? Is this the area that you want me to be in? Like, do you want me to be in teaching instead? Do you want me to be somewhere else? Because I know that it's something that I've always wanted, but the question is, God, like, is this something that you want for
Yes.
me?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. No, 100%.
So I remember what happened this one time. It was around 2018, so 2 years ago, when I really started to take my voiceover career in a more professional direction. Um, is that I remember having this devotion, and it spoke to me so much about, because I had been crying out about, like, oh, what do I do with my voiceover career? Is this what you want from me, God? And then I remember he spoke to me through that word. It was it was the one about selfish ambition and something about vain conceit or something like that. I think it was in Philippians. Ooh. This is why I write it down in a book, because I
It's
don't remember
okay.
it on the
None of us are
spot.
perfect with our verses. I know I'm not.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I had a devotion about it because the voiceover industry, as I'm sure that you've been exposed to as well, it's a very self-led industry. It's
Yeah.
mostly about, like, me and look at me, look at me, when really, as people who follow Christ, we're meant to make it about him, that through us we're a vessel to reflect that glory back to him. And in voiceover, it can be very um, challenging to not take all of the glory, all of the credit for myself. And it's this balance of, yes, I'm trying to promote myself, I'm trying to promote my business, um, but at the same time, I have to remember that it's to put God in the center of it all. And what he told me in my devotion was my voice acting, my voiceover. I basically got validation to, like, yes, this is the area that I want you to go forth in, but you have to know that it's a community thing. It's not about you. It's not about yourself, but it's always about raising other people up. It's always about giving voice to the voiceless. It's always about using your talent and reflecting it back to him. Um, so I guess that's what, the balance and trying to challenge it, trying to the challenge of trying to balance my faith and my career. One of my main struggles, actually, because you know how I brought up the whole children's ministry thing,
Yes.
um, was I was battling, okay, I'm in charge of this ministry. It requires 100% of my attention and devotion to make it thrive. But the thing is, also in my heart was my career, and I also want to be able to give 100% to my passion, to my
Ooh,
dream.
right.
But then there's this ministry that I have to take care of as well, and I'm only one human being, and I'm also studying at the same time as well. I want to do well in my studies, and I want to be a good daughter as well. I want to give time to my family and to my brothers. I remember I was going through this crisis of, like, I felt like it had to be one or the other. It's either my voiceover career or it's either ministry. And I was torn at the idea that, because you know when they say, like, when you're called, you go.
Yes.
And I was, people were telling me that, like, oh, you're called to the kids ministry, like this is your thing. But then I was also faced with this, this worry, this doubt, this huge fear that I had, that, like, does this mean that I have to stop pursuing voiceover? Do I have to stop pursuing voice acting if this is, if the children's ministry is what I'm supposed to be all about? And I'm being honest to you about that. I'm not very vocal about this
I
this
appreciate
side.
this.
Yeah, but I was, that was a challenge for me, and I would open up about it to my friends, to my youth pastor, to some of my leaders, But I honestly felt like it had to be one or the other. And I don't remember how I got over it, but I'm at this point where I knew it was one of another devotion that I had where, yes, continue pursuing voiceover, continue pursuing voice acting, because this is the area which I have put you. In regards to children's ministry, well, that's, I feel like I've honestly put that on the back burner at the moment because of all of the COVID stuff.
Yeah,
So
like everybody
it,
else. Yes.
oh yeah, it feels like I haven't had to think about it for a while. And I reckon when church becomes public again, and when people can start coming back to church and it's not online church anymore, um, I feel like I'm probably gonna have this conflict again, maybe.
For now.
um, who knows? All I know is that because church is online, I haven't really had to think about my ministry as much. I have been helping my brother with his youth ministry online, which I am very passionate about, and I'm very happy. It's still the idea of passing on to the next generation and guiding them and mentoring them with their faith as well.
I'm talking with Candice V. As y'all can fully see, we've been having a good chat about her career, her faith, and just about her and the journey that she has been so far in her life. And as we're getting close to the end, I know you before you told me about a voice actress in the Brony community that was inspired you, but you didn't really talk about other voice actors and actresses that you look at and you're like, I want my career to be just like this, that, and the third. Have there been any?
Ooh, I mean, well, Tara Strong was definitely one of the
OG, yes.
oh yeah, one of the main inspirations because she was the voice of Twilight, and
Yes.
people told me that they really like my Twilight impression. And when I started studying and researching more about voiceover and voice acting, I would look into her life, her what she's done to make it where she is right now, and then what I what I did was when people told me that that I can do a somewhat of a good Twilight impression,
Not
I
somewhat.
decided, hang on, if I can do what Tara Strong does, then I should try practicing the other voices that she can do too. So, and I guess that's how I started practicing more. That I would research into Tara's career, and then I would find her characters, and then I would try and just copy them, and then just build on my range and just keep practicing. So there's Tara Strong, who I really look up to. I And then with all of that, there's also Mark Hamill. There's D. Bradley Baker.
Ooh,
There's Gray Delisle, who is Azula in Avatar.
dope. That's so dope.
Yeah, but I guess on a more I would say indie level, even though she's super established right now. Yeah, there is Kira Buckland, because it was through her I identified myself as, hang on, I'm a fan and I can do what she does, and she's a fan. And now look at her now. She's doing casting directing now. She's in official shows. So when I look at her, I think to myself, I started similar to the way that that she did, and I want to be where she's at, like right now. um, and Also, another one that who's been a huge inspiration to me as well is Gabe Kunda. um, I remember coming across his voiceover videos on Instagram because I just wanted more voiceover content on my feed, and I found him, and he was drilling out all of these really cool voice acting videos. And then when I look at how his career has bloomed, has shined now, and how he also has kept God in the center of it all, it really inspires me as well. Like he's doing commercials for Christopher Nolan, for Ava DuVernay. He's also doing dubbing roles. He's voicing in animations as well, and he started also by doing voice acting in his college dorm, and posting videos on Instagram. And that's really validating to me, because it's like, well, I'm starting similar to the way that they're starting, and now look at them. So yeah, I have absolute stars in my eyes.
Everyone starts somewhere, and it's always good to have those people, just to know that, seeing them and where they are at the end of the tunnel, you're like, I want to be there too. And if they can do it, I definitely know that I can do it.
Mm-hmm. I would ask the same thing to you.
Look, I know that. I know that. I just like you. I see the people that I know can do this, and God be by my side.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make it there, no doubt about it. We both will. I know this fully true.
Hey, yeah, I would give you an internet like handshake. You know how you grab the hands and then you shake it.
I'll give you pound right there. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Now, everyone, Candice, I appreciate you giving me your time. This has been a fantastic chat. I think that a lot of the people who know you and love you probably learned more about you in this, and it was so very great to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you too, Ron, for your time and for being so open and compassionate and considerate. Thank you.
But before I let you go, the last thing
Ooh.
we always do on Getting Real is this last part we always do is the shout out, where we give love and support to the people that have been by our side, who have picked us up when we couldn't walk any further. The floor is yours. Let it loose.
Oh, dang. Oh, I love so many people. Okay. If I miss out on your name, please don't take it personally. But you're in my heart. So obviously there's my family, there's my parents, there's my brothers, from my church life. Gotta hand it to Jabel, Christine, Ira, my girls. Thank you for being my accountability and support. In the voice acting, and then there's my best friends as well outside of church. There's Caitlin, and then there's Alex. Caitlin has always had my back. I love that girl. She's also my accountability partner as well. And then there's the voice acting world as well. Gotta give a shout out to my longest friend ever, Paxton. You've always been there for me since the beginning. And then Melina and Maddie and Kenneth and Haley and Spencer and who else we got? Then there's there's the Instagram homies. There's Tom Shock, and then we got Jalen and Chase as well. You've always been a real one. Yeah, oh my gosh, the pressure to think of so many people. I think that's all. I mean, I would shout out all of your handles, but and Ron as well.
Please. And the last thing, and this is for you. If Candice now can tell young Candice, who was alone, who didn't have a real drive in herself and just didn't have an idea who she was, now where you are now, what would you tell yourself back then?
Well, to make it quick, the first thing that popped into my mind is it gets better. It always gets better. Yeah.
My name is Ronald E. Smith. This is Candice V. And y'all, I think we got real. Thank you very much. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you.